It is late Monday afternoon on March 14th of 2022, and this is a very unexpected Guy's Daily Drive. Bam! And good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a very oddly timed Guy's Daily Drive. I did not anticipate doing a Guy's Daily Drive on my way home today. However, here we are. And the whole reason why I'm doing this is because I think I got the mic working. I was, when I left to go to work this morning, I was going to do a Guy's Daily Drive. I tried setting up the lav microphone, and it didn't seem to be working. And I was thinking, man, I had it plugged in all night. But apparently, it's a little tricky to get turned on. I'll look at maybe there's an easier way to do it, but I'll look at the owner's manual when I get home. I mean, in theory, it's simplicity itself. There's a little dongle that's a special receiver that plugs into the lightning port of the phone. And for convenience sake, and this is actually very convenient, it actually has another lightning connector on the side of it so that you can keep the phone charged up, which I thought that was a nice touch. And then the microphone itself clips onto wherever. I've got it right here. And it's Bluetooth. It says it's Bluetooth, but it won't work with the phone's Bluetooth. So it's obviously some kind of, I don't even know. I have no idea why they call it Bluetooth, but it doesn't work with the phone's Bluetooth. That makes no sense to me. But okay. If it works, all I'm asking is that it works. It wasn't real expensive. I think it was, I'd have to look. It was like $25-$30, I think. And it's another one of those things where I guess I didn't really need it because the microphone that's in the phone was good enough. Picked up so much road noise and motor noise that was kind of distracting. And I suppose, because I edit all this stuff in DaVinci, I suppose I could find the specific frequency that that the road noise and the engine noise and all the rest of that is kind of transmitting on it, and screw around and try to get that off. But honestly, for what Guy's Daily Drive is, it just didn't seem like it made much sense to do that. So, for a long time, I just went ahead and just dealt with it. And just, there was road noise, and there was engine noise and all kinds of stuff. So hopefully this microphone will make that a little bit better. I don't know how long it's going to stay charged. It's really not that big, so I can't imagine that the length of time that it'll work on a battery is going to be all that long. But I imagine it would be probably for a good hour. And if it's for at least an hour, that's fine with me. That works. So I'm getting, and I don't know, I really shouldn't. I'm getting excited about football, USFL spring football. And all of these spring leagues, over and over and over again, have broken my heart and not made it all the way through, or were just too far away to get to The XFL actually, I was really psyched about the XFL because they had a team that played in DC. And I was going to go to a couple of games, but never made it because the rest of the season got canceled because of COVID. And they're supposed to start up next year again, and we'll see what happens with that. There's a lot of different things going on and a lot of conspiracy theories on how all this is going to work. And this is even assuming that the USFL makes it through an entire season, because ever since most of these spring leagues have been popping up again, most of them haven't finished a single season. I guess the one exception was the spring league. But the difference with the spring league, and it's not all that dissimilar from what the USFL is doing, the spring league played all of their games in two different stadiums, two different states, but two different stadiums. And they also, and I didn't realize this when I caught a couple of the games on TV, they also had the players pay to play. So if you wanted to play in the spring league, you had to pay the league to play, which, I don't know, I thought, I guess it's one of those things where you're paying for exposure. You're paying to let NFL scouts and people that watch football kind of judge you and whether or not you have the talent to get to that next level, to go and play in the NFL. And that just wasn't a model that I think was sustainable. I mean, it's great. You were able to have a spring league play their entire season, but there was no one in the stands. And football without people in the stands just doesn't feel like football. I know that in 2020, the NFL was piping in crowd noises and all that, but that's just not, it's not real, I mean, I get the feeling that was more for the TV audience than it was to get the players hyped up, because they can look around, they can see that there's nobody in the stands. So what the USFL is doing, they have 8 teams, and they're all former USFL football teams from the 80s. Obviously, none of the same players. But they're going to play all of their games in one of 2 stadiums. I think it's just 2 stadiums in Birmingham, Alabama. And they're both, they're not like NFL-sized stadiums, which frankly is a good thing. One of the problems that the USFL had when they were around before is they were playing in all the NFL stadiums, but didn't really have the crowds there to support them. So you'd have these like huge NFL stadiums at maybe 25% capacity, and it was just pathetic. It really just was not a good look. So to play in stadiums with like 20 to 40,000 seats, you fill that halfway. 20,000 people, it looks like there's a lot of people there. It really kind of, you got to fill the stands for it to look good. So this is more or less, I think, a trial run for the USFL. But the thing that's really kind of interesting to me is that next year, when the XFL is supposed to get started again, what I'm hearing is that there may be some kind of merger or cross-cooperation between the 2 leagues, which would mean that there would be many more teams. Maybe the talent might be a little spread out, a little more thin, but I think there's a lot of good football players out there. Now, the other thing that I heard, because with the USFL, I believe the league owns all of the teams. So the league is calling all the shots. But the other thing that I'm hearing is they're bringing in potential owners so that people can come and invest in the new league if they want to. So, you could have someone who's not necessarily, a guy with hundreds of millions of dollars, because there's really not that many of those people out there. But maybe he's got $50 million. I'm hearing some sports names, guys that used to play baseball, used to play, other professional sports, basketball, possibly getting in on the ground floor of a new league. And if they can convince those guys to bankroll a team and be willing to accept that for at least 1 to 2 years, there's not going to be a whole lot of income coming in. Because that's where it almost always falls apart. You get these guys that have delusions of grandeur, of wanting to be, the next Jerry Jones, or, pick a NFL owner of your choice, who's pulling in all this money from merchandise and TV contracts and stadium and all the rest of that, the big money that comes with having an NFL team. And they're just not seeing the return. They are spending a lot more than what they're getting back. And that was part of the reason why the Arena League fell apart, was you had a lot of fly-by-night owners that would start to lose a little bit of money, panic, and then just bail and drop the team, a lot of times in the middle of the season. And that doesn't fill people with confidence to get them to come in and come watch a game or watch it on TV. If the team that they want to root for is going to just suddenly disappear the next week, what's the point? So you need stability. You need a league that's able to have consistent teams, not just, we think that if we move this team to Baltimore, or if we move it to Orlando, or if we move it to wherever, that it'll do better than the city that it was in. You can't do that and expect people to gravitate toward your team. It just doesn't work. So you need consistency. You need to be able to get through 2 or 3 seasons of lean years, where you're not going to pull in a lot of money, and you may lose money. But the payoff can be at the end. And the other thing is, let's face it, these guys that are playing football, their dream is to make it to the NFL. And if they get enough attention, they might get a shot at playing for an NFL team. So you have to set up your contracts in such a way that, once the season is complete, you may have a guy signed to 2 seasons, but if he gets an NFL offer, it's like, okay, you get a legitimate NFL offer, we'll release you from your contract so that you can join the NFL. That's the point. You're feeding into a bigger league, but at the same time, you're getting the good players who want to showcase their talents and then move on to the next level if they can. And a lot of them might. A lot of them, most of them probably won't, but some of them might. And so you keep that dream alive. And you get an influx of good players, not just journeymen, but good players who for one reason or another didn't make it into the NFL, but could have made it into the NFL with one or two breaks. And that makes your product that much better. It means that you get the guys that are going to be there and be excited about playing football, and they'll have heart and they'll have soul and they'll put everything that they can into playing for your team. And that's how you build a league. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of time. And it takes an extraordinarily huge amount of patience. And if you bring in people to help finance this league, they have to know that going in. You have to lock them in. And if they're not willing to be locked in, then you don't need them. Because if they're just going to bail, then that just adds instability to your product. And who wants that? Who needs them? Well, that, I think, is going to do it for today. This afternoon special Monday edition of Guy's Daily Drive. Thank you, Cletus, for joining me here live. I really do appreciate the fact that you've been able to sit here and watch a live performance of Guy's Daily Drive. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. And of course, to everyone who will watch and or listen later, thank you as well. If you would like to help support this craziness that I do and all these dumb microphones that I keep buying for reasons, you can do that by going to patreon.com/MacParrot, coffee, ko-fi.com/MacParrot, or PayPal at paypal.me/MacParrot. If you'd like to contact me, you can do so by sending me an email to guy@mymac.com or podcast@vertshark.com. You can go over to the YouTubes and type in Vert Shark. The channel will come up where you can like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. It's so easy. It's all you got to do. And then there's also the vertshark.com website. Isn't that crazy? Crazy talk. vertshark.com website where you can find all of the odds and all of the vids. You can also contact me via Twitter. I am both MacParrot and, surprise, surprise, VertShark over there on the Twitters. And there's all kinds of stuff. Actually, I was talking about vertshark.com. There's a lot of new content up there right now. There's the 2 Guys Daily Drives that I did last Thursday and Friday, as well as the audio and the video from the mymac.com podcast that I recorded with Gaz on Sunday, minus the after show. If you want the after show, you'll have to listen to that through the mymac.com feed. It's a little bit shorter if you get it through VertShark, but it's still got all that Guy and Gaz goodness. Well, that is going to do it. I swear I'm going to end this before it goes on too much longer. Thank you all for joining me. I really do appreciate it. And I will see all of you next time. God knows when that'll be. I've already got 2 this week. Right here on Guy's Daily Drive. Bye-bye.